we're here today making this fun gnome for your garden. So you picked up a kit from Epic and just a couple other things to gather, some newspaper to protect your table and so your project doesn't stick to your kitchen table, a couple bowls of water, paper towel and a sponge or a rag that you can use. So I'm going to go ahead and spread the newspaper out just to make sure the clay doesn't stick, and unpack my bag of Epic goodies. So you'll have a piece of paper, we'll go over that later, and some underglazes that we'll use at the end, paintbrush for later, popsicle stick, fork, some templates to help us make our gnome. And then inside this bag is your slab of clay that we're going to work with. Keep those bags because we may need them at the end. I find it's easier if you can, as much as possible, work on the piece of cardboard that we gave you, just so you can kind of turn your piece around without messing it up. So if you look closely at your slab of clay, there's some tiny little texture in there, and that comes from the slab roller. To get that out, I'm gonna just take my sponge, squeeze out all the water so it's just damp, and then gently kind of smooth it out. You don't wanna press too hard or you'll get some ridges in your clay, just enough that that texture doesn't show. I know it doesn't look like a big deal right now, but once the piece is glazed, you'll really be able to see that texture in the finished piece. Put him up here for reference. Okay, so these are your templates. This is your beard, this is your body, and this is your hat. And just like when you're making cookies, you want to kind of figure out how do they all fit best, where I can get them all in here and still have room. Because if you put this one right in the middle, you may not have enough room for your hat or your beard on the side. Just like all of our take-home projects, we really want you to make this your own. So I'm going to show you how to make the basic garden gnome, but when we get to the part where we customize him, you can skip the beard and make him or her. You could make it a jersey and add a football to his hand and make him your favorite Chiefs player. You could do all sorts of things. So right there while I was talking, I traced around the template using my popsicle stick, holding it straight up and down to cut out the part that we're going to use for his body. And I'm going to do the same with the hat template. And again, hold your popsicle stick straight up and down as much as possible. You can put all your scraps into a pile. We're going to need them for the head and the hands and the arms, and then the beard. And again, if you don't want to do a beard, it is totally fine. We just want these to be well constructed so they don't fall apart in the kiln, and we want them to reflect you as an artist. Okay, so I'm going to set the beard to the side and the hat to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the body. Okay, so the side that you smoothed, we want that to go on the outside. And we're gonna try and get the seam in the back. So you can't see it too much, it's a little bit bumpier here, but that's where that clay is coming together. Whenever you join two pieces of clay, you've probably heard me say this before, you need to scratch to attach. So that means that the clay really grips each other because both sides are scratched. Otherwise, when we put them in the kiln, they'll pop apart. Even if one side's scratched and the other one isn't, they're likely to pop apart. So I'm going to take this and gently circle it around together. Now this is going to have to be joined together, and to do that I'm going to work on scratching using my fork. So I'm going to get my fork wet and I'm going to scratch this outside part. Up and down and over here on this side. So remember, both sides have to be scratched. And I don't want light scratches, we want nice deep scratches so it can grip well. Okay, after you have that done, you can bring them together just like this. It's okay if they don't match up perfectly because we're gonna get a head on top of there. And then I'm gonna get my popsicle stick wet and I'm gonna work on joining that seam. So kind of taking the clay, moving it to one side and the other, and just making it look like it was always one piece. See how smooth that looks? Use my fingers to smooth it out. And then I want to do that on the inside as well. Not because many people are gonna be lifting up your gnome and looking on the inside, but this will help it stay together better. So again, just taking and kind of taking that clay and smoothing it around, bringing it from one side to the next. If it pops back open a little bit, that's okay. Just keep an eye on it and smooth it out as needed. Okay. So, once you have the body, I'm going to go ahead and just trim the top off a little bit because it's not quite even. Just like, okay, now that we have the top trimmed, still just gonna keep watching that seam to make sure it doesn't pop apart. I'm gonna work on making the head. And so just take some of the scraps, kind of knead them together, try not to get any air bubbles in there. And then since this is a pretty big head, we're gonna hollow it out a little bit just so we don't get any air balls in there. And lose it in the kiln. So you might have to make a head. That guy seems a little bit small, so I'm going to add some more clay and knead it in there. Okay. And my head is a little bit kind of oval. You can make yours more up and down. Again, however you really want it to look. And I didn't put eyes on mine, but you are welcome to do that, of course. So once I have kind of the size I want, I'm just gonna take my popsicle stick and take some of that clay out of the middle. Just kind of trying to make it not so bulky so that we don't have any explosions in the kiln. And here we go. Again, scratch to attach. I'm going to scratch the edge of my head. to scratch the top part here of my body. And I'm going to put them on top and take my popsicle stick and really join them together. See that? All around. Okay. So now it's time to make the hat. Again, you're going to want the smooth part to be on the outside, and you're going to just wrap it together. And just like we did with the body, we're going to scratch both sides really, really well. And then push them together. Take that popsicle stick, your new best friend, and really push that clay together. I know it seems like it's together, but it's really, really super easy for the clay to pop open. Ah, fork stuck to it. Do it on the bottom, do it on the inside. Take your time. Take longer than I am. Get that done. Okay. Now you can make your hat kind of sticking up. You can make it folded over. You can kind of scrunch it down. You can do whatever you want to kind of shape your hat. I like my hat to look kind of weather worn. And we're going to stick it on his head. And what do you think we have to do? That's right, we have to scratch to attach. So I'm going to scratch on the inside of the hat because that's the part that really is touching the head. And I'm going to find out where that touches. Leaves a little ring on there. And then I can scratch that part. Again, guys, I'm going pretty fast for the sake of the video. I want you to just pause the video, take time, and scratch it well. And the popsicle stick back underneath. Smooth it out. We're gonna look at the front of this guy. Kind of smooth any extra balls of clay you see, seams that look kind of funny, etc. Okay, now I'm going to put the beard on. This beard I drew some lines. You don't have to, you can do some squiggly lines. I'm going to take my finger and just smooth out that edge. And then I know that I need to scratch the whole back of this. This is a big attacher. Go both ways, add some water. This is the same thing if you decided to add a football, if you decided that you wanted to add anything in, you really need to scratch it on both sides. I like to just press it in a little bit and use it as a template for where I need to scratch. If you go a little bit off course, you can always smooth it out with your finger. But you can see this beard, kind of press it in. Use my tool to smooth it out. especially along his face where I want it to look extra good. You can kind of reshape it a little if it seems awkward. Now I have the beard. So if you look at the other parts here, there's a nose, some ears, some arms and hands. I just do that with all the scraps that I have left. So I'll start with his ears. Just kind of gonna take 2 pieces of clay, kind of form some ears. At this point, if you've worked with your clay a lot, it might be cracking. It's okay to just get your finger wet and smooth those cracks out. So put some ears right behind his beard. And then a nose. This nose is kind of just a circle. You could do a triangle. You could do a more pointy out nose like this. Okay, see how my guy's looking? He's cute. And then need to do some arms and hands. You could do some boots sticking out from under his robe. You just put them kind of like this on the bottom maybe. You could do a football like we talked about in his hand, like that. And the sky's the limit as far as personalization. If you did a girl, you could decorate her dress. I'm just rolling a couple of pieces to use for the arms. Just made 2 little coils that are about the same size. Scratching these. Okay, think about where I want these. Do the same thing on the other side and add some hands in. One arm could be up and one down. You could do real hands instead of just balls for hands. Really press that clay in and work it in. Again, I'm going kind of fast just to get you guys through this project. Okay. Okay, my last couple things, I'm gonna put some hands on my garden gnome. Scratching both places. There's one, you can see that one. And then the other one. Right here. Really push that in. Okay, and at this point, it'd be a good idea just to check and make sure that your seam's okay, nothing's cracking. Take a few minutes to just go over everything really well and make sure that it's attached. And just pause the video, double check everything, and then come back for the part at the end where we're gonna glaze them. Okay, so let's assume that you've checked your whole gnome. He looks good. You can take this clay, which you're done with, put it in one of these bags because we will use this clay again. We can put it in reclaim and process it for another project. And then we're gonna use underglaze. So typically when you guys come to Epic, you make something, then you choose the colors before you go and we glaze it. This is underglaze, which can be used on wet clay. So for the gnome kit, we have blue and red and white and black. So I'm gonna make eyes on this garden gnome. Right there. There's only one paintbrush in this kit. You can use your own paintbrushes if you don't want to clean them in between, or you can just keep washing them off. So this is white. I'm going to kind of do a little painting to look like it's hair or a beard in here. If you want it to look really solid, you need to put a couple coats and try and keep your texture kind of even. But it feels like for the beard that it'd be kind of fun to have it a different kind of texture. The color of the clay is going to be a light tan color. So anything that you don't glaze will be light tan. So if you're fine with that for his beard or his hands or his face or his hat, or you don't care if his body is tan, you don't have to glaze it, you can leave it. I'm not gonna glaze this whole thing for you, but I will show you. Let's see. We're gonna do some stripes across the bottom in red. And then I'm going to clean off my brush and wipe it and do some blue like this to kind of make it a little bit more fun than just the red and blue version that I showed you. Do the tip of his hat blue, and I might keep glazing this after the video's done, but you get the picture. You can glaze him just like you would paint, except you can't mix colors to make another color, so the red and the blue will not make purple. But you can layer them to kind of get that effect. So if you wanted that, you could maybe do a layer of blue and then a layer of red on top. Also, like I mentioned, good to let it dry and do 2 coats. And then you'll want to put your initials on the back or on the inside. Initials are names so that we know who you are. So when you're all done, please put the lids back on these. We're going to want these underglazes back so we can use them again. Clean off your tools. Have those ready to be packed up. We're going to want your templates back. All of this we can keep using. And then you're going to fill out your form. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Your name, the project, which is Garden Gnome, your parents' name, the date, their contact information, how you want us to let you know that your project's done, the names or initials you wrote on the project. This is really important. So did you write your full name? Did you just write your initials? This will help us know whose project is who. Any special instructions. This is where maybe your favorite color is green and you just really want a green garden gnome. You can say, please make the body of my gnome green. Then you could just underglaze the beard and the face and the hat, leave the body plain, and after I bisque it, I'll put green glaze on your gnome. And then at the bottom, just any ideas for other things you'd want to make out of clay that maybe you saw online or somewhere that you thought of. So return this with your project. When the glaze is dry, I'm going to stick my clay in there, my extra clay. When the glaze is dry, put the bag over the top of your gnome, and then carefully bring it back to Epic so we can glaze it. We'll let you know when it's done. It usually takes about 2 weeks. So I hope you love making your gnome and that you're really excited when you get them back. And thanks for watching with us today. Bye.